Morning Year 10, hope you're all really well. This is lesson 3 of your NEA controlled assessment. So last week I had a lot of questions about the task and how to complete the first slide, etc. And myself and Mr. Home went back, reflected on it, and have actually decided that we're going to take one step back, in the sense that we're going to break it down for this week's lesson just to focus on the problem first, so that when we do the team session on the Wednesday and Thursday, we'll be able to discuss that first slide in a little bit more detail, which hopefully will help you guys. So identifying a problem. Your whole NEA portfolio will be based around this problem. So you'll have identified it, researched it, come up with design ideas, and in the end you will actually make a product that will help to solve this problem. So without a problem, you will not be able to complete your NEA. So for me, this is the most important part of your actual portfolio, which is the identifying, so the finding of the problem, which will then help you to start off your first slide and will help you to go on to your actual research. So looking back at some NEA examples, so this person chose to do the contemporary home for their contextual challenge. And the problem that they came up with was their school boarding house has many boarding students attending each year. Quite often these students are international. The rooms are very well designed, however the desk space can be dark and sometimes cramped. I will conduct some initial research in order to determine what approach I take when designing this product. So in basic terms, the issue is that there's not enough light on this desk space, and they are going to then go on to build some form of lamp or device which will shine light, which can then be placed onto the desk. So that is their initial starting problem, which will then go on to help with conducting the research. The next example, the context was children's learning and play, and the problem was children get easily distracted and require something interactive to keep them engaged and continuously learning. For example, an electronic game. So again, in basic terms, children obviously need engaging quite a lot, especially on long journeys. So he wanted to design a game that could be portable and taken with them, which would then help to solve this problem. I would say that you need to try and look at the example NEAs that we provide you as much as possible, because that is what's going to provide the marks. These guys are, I think that was a grade 8, that was a grade 6, and this one was actually a grade 9 overall for the portfolio, not just for this specific page. So please look at the NEA examples that we're providing you. So for your second mind map, I just selected 7 points from my original mind map, which is what you guys would have completed 2 weeks ago. So I just got the 7 points: transport, community, music, sports, gaming, social media and school. From that, I added some little subheadings. So for example, what's the different types of transport? You will have already done this, but much more detailed in your first mind map. So you need to look at that, take some parts of that, and you can either place it on a new piece of paper, you can do it on PowerPoint. It doesn't need to be beautiful. This is just so that you guys can get to the point where you're like, this is the problem I'm going to solve. So once you've done that, you can then go off, and I've listed these. It's up to you. You can either list them or you can add them around your mind map again. I just went and put the headings. So for example, community, added it there, and then I just put a list of about 5 different problems that I could think of that related to community. So the first one, when I think of community and I think of parks, there's an awful lot of dog waste which is left. So one of the problems that you could write is, again, that at most parks a lot of people leave a large amount of dog waste. This can be problematic because children, adults, other walkers, people that are playing in the park can actually walk on it. That's the problem, simple as that. The second one I've put as well is that there's a lack of activities or sports-based activities at the park. So again, your problem would be your local park in King's Heath doesn't have a lot of activities for teenagers, so you're going to create maybe a football-based activity or a portable device that could go to the park with you, which would then engage the teenagers to play sports. The next one I've put underneath is littering. So again, very similar to the dog waste. A lot of litter is left around the park. So you need to create something, and you would write that as your problem. So your problem is a lot of litter is left around the park. I'm going to create something that encourages people or teenagers to dispose of their waste litter or to recycle. Next one, for 3, I've put lack of seating. So again, a problem within the park area or the community area is that there's not enough seating available, so you would then go on to create some form of seating. It could even be that at your local bus shelters there's not enough seating, or you want to create a portable form of seating that the elderly, or I don't know, anybody like that could take with them, which could then be used rather than having to stand if there's not enough space in the actual bus shelter. So I've just listed, and I'm not going to go through every single one. So again, I've got my community there, and I've just listed every single problem that I can think of that I could potentially use for my NEA. You only need one problem. That's it. So from this again, I would probably say, okay, I'm going to do the dog waste one. Then I'm going to keep this, take a picture of it. I'm going to send it to Miss Stanley or Mr. Holmes. I'm going to then tell them which problem it is that I'm going to do. And they will obviously say yes or no. To be honest, it will most likely be yes, unless it's something ridiculous like I'm going to create a car, for example. You've got to be realistic. You aren't going to create a car, you're not going to create a gun, you're not going to create a tank. However, you can create something that will help people or promote or encourage people to pick up dog waste. I hope that makes sense and adds a little bit more light to the situation. For those people who already know what their problem is, again, just email that to myself and Mr. Home just so we can tick you off the list. That's just an example. So I've chose to do mine obviously by hand. You might choose to do it on PowerPoint. And then again, I've just listed with a little bit more detail the 3 different problems that relate to community. You can add as many as you want, but once you know which one it is you're going to do, then you can send your work in an email to myself and Mr. Holmes. I've left these on here as well, just so that you guys can reflect back onto them. One thing I would say as well is these 2, so multifunctional living and teenage lifestyle, for me are probably the 2 easiest contexts to do. Because you are all teenagers, you can all relate to this. If there's a problem that you have, whether it be with cooking, whether it be with tidying away or storage, you can design something that best suits you and that's going to be more enjoyable and that you can relate to. You can be your own client in that instance. Deadline. So your deadline for this task, and again, it does not need to be pretty. It can be exactly like what I've just presented to you. So just drawings, sketches, just handwritten on a piece of paper, taking a picture of it and sent it to us, or it can be on PowerPoint. It is completely up to you. So your deadline for this first task will actually be your team session, which will be with myself Wednesday this week at 12:30 and with Mr. Holmes Thursday at 12:30 as well. It is really essential that you guys attend those sessions. You don't need to attend both, obviously just attend for the teacher you have for design technology. But we will be going through the first slide and you will be able to ask questions or you can show us examples. So it'll be a really in-depth step-by-step of how to go about completing that first slide. But I will repeat it again, you cannot complete your first slide or any of the other slides unless you have selected a specific problem. I hope that helps, guys, and if you've got any more questions, please email myself or Mr. Holmes. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the Wednesday and Thursday session.